Yeah, so if you just joined us, there's 5 more minutes before we start. We're gonna start at 7 p.m. Tonight we have Muhammad Asif for black. We're gonna have blockchain and SSRS 2019 and Power BI. So sit back. We're gonna start at 7 p.m. Just gonna give some time for people to come in. Uh, we are being we're currently live streaming it at YouTube, and we're also live streaming at Facebook. The Facebook live stream had some issues, but the new link is already posted on the original stream. So sorry about that. OBS crashed on me. All right, 1 minute to go. 1 minute before 7. I think we can start. Just turn off that this one. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of data sessions. Let me just before we go to the first session, just a few housekeeping items. So, well, yeah, as I said, welcome to episode 2. Tonight we have two great session about blockchain and SRS 2019 and Power BI. Uh, Data session is brought to you by Singapore Sqlpass. If you have not joined us, you can find us on Facebook, or we post all our events on Facebook and all the other social media. You can follow us on Facebook. If you want a broader platform, the Microsoft technical communities on Meetup. The link is you can follow us on that link. And then all our sessions are being uploaded. We upload it at YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel if you like this kind of technical content. All the past events and past episodes, you can find it on our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any feedback or any comment or suggestion regarding our chapter meetup, you can email your organizers, and we'll be happy to hear your feedback so that we can improve our events. So this month, like what we announced last Tuesday, we have a special. It's a special month. We have a session every Tuesday. It's live webinar every Tuesday. We have one local speaker and one international speaker delivering data platform sessions. This week, like I said earlier, we have Muhammad Asif, a certified blockchain architect, discussing about developing blockchain apps on Azure WorkBench and Power BI. And then later on at 8 p.m., we have an MVP, Microsoft MVP for data platform from Philippines, Argelo Royce Bautista. He'll be discussing about Ssrs 2019 and Power BI. You can find the next episodes on Meetup. All of them are already in Meetup. If you want to register and you want to read more about the details of the session, you can head over to our Meetup page and look for the events. A few reminders before we start. Please keep yourself on mute so that it's going to be a pleasant evening for everyone. And if you maybe you can mute your machine first. Sorry, some echo. Oh, yeah, there you go. So so keep yourself on mute so that it's a pleasant experience for everyone. If you have any questions, you can put it on the chat, or you can use the raise hand icon in Teams. Teams now has the raise hand icon, so you can click it, and when there's a good point in the session, the speaker or me as your host will read your question. Please submit your evaluation after the session. It helps us improve our events, and it's a good way to provide your feedback to the speakers. It's also a good avenue for you if you want to recommend any, or if you have any sessions in mind, or if you have any topic in mind that you would like to hear in future events, or if you want to speak yourself, you can let us know through the evaluation form. And last but not the least, the session is being recorded. It's going to be uploaded later on YouTube. So with that, let me hand it over to our first session tonight. Like I said, Muhammad Asif.
Yeah, thanks for the announcement. So hi everyone, thanks for joining today. This is episode 2, and we have 2 very nice topics today. So the first topic I'm going to deliver is on Azure blockchain, and next session is from Argelo on Ssrs Power BI. So it's also really interesting sessions. And we have also, as Pio mentioned, we have also 2 more episodes coming on Tuesday. So if you haven't signed up, so you can just go on the Meetup page and can sign up from here. Okay, so let's start. Are you able to see my slides?
Yeah, we can see your slide.
Okay, thanks. Thanks again. So my name is Asif Wakar. Actually, I'm a solution architect at ABN Bank. We are a part of ABN innovation team. So we are more likely working on different innovation projects in ABN AMRO, and I was also part of some blockchain projects, and and maybe we'll have a soon production ready blockchain app. So yeah. So today's agenda. So we will try to find out a few questions, which is actually most asked questions in my meetups. So I thought just to sum up and try to find out and relate with the actual use case of the blockchain. So we'll see means is blockchain a Bitcoin, or why we need a blockchain, and is really blockchain suitable for my projects? And then we'll see some fundamentals. And in later demo, we'll see how we can build a blockchain prototype using Azure Workbench. Okay, so let's first start with have everyone, I think, heard about Bitcoin? So the first question is blockchain a Bitcoin? Blockchain is Bitcoin or not? Because this is the most widely asked questions in my meetups. Because as everyone know that there was a few years back, there was a Bitcoin which was a quite boom, and everyone was trying to find out and buying the cryptocurrency. So whenever we talk about the blockchain, the cryptocurrency first comes in our mind. So it's blockchain is a Bitcoin. Basically, blockchain is Bitcoin was the first application built on blockchain technology. So it was the first production-ready application which was built on blockchain. And there are a couple of numerous blockchain applications which is using on different like public blockchain in either Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a couple of others use cases are there. So if you ask me in simple terms, then what is a blockchain? So I would say that blockchain is a decentralized database with strong consistency support. What it means is basically it's a decentralized database. It's a decentralized ledger, you can say, and all the parties maintains a copy of the ledger, and that's on the nodes, and it's also with strong consistency. So all the data is consistent on each node. So every node maintains a local copy of the data, and the system ensures that consistency among all the local copies at every node is identical. So the local copy is always updated on global information. So how exactly it happens is basically the local copies and the global information will be synced up with by using consensus mechanism. So each blockchain network have a different kind of consensus mechanism. So yeah, and then the question comes is where exactly means like some use case of the blockchain. Actually, blockchain is used in couple of various use case in terms of trade and finance, and means asset transfer in healthcare industry, and couple of them. So today I'm going to discuss a simple use case of blockchain of in property for buying a property. You someone have to mute.
Asif, kindly unmute yourself. Thank you.
Oh,
reminder everyone, keep yourself on mute.
Okay, so let's take a simple example of like buying a property. And buying a property is where exactly we can, in this use case, basically, suppose if you have to buy a property. So what are the parties will be involved in just purchasing a property, like a land registry, banks from where you are going to take the loan, or property inspector, insurer, buyers, seller agents. So there are multiple parties involved in this, and each party need to be, means like for buying a property you have to be means like each parties need to build a trust, and they should, means you should know that this property is not a fake property. Means like in our my case, like I belongs from India. So basically in India this is actually very good use case, because sometimes might be that one property is registered on 10 names. So how you will verify that this property is a legitimate property, and it's so you want to verify from where exactly it belongs to and who bought this first. So these all things can be done on the blockchain network. So basically, if you have a multi-party auditing or there are cross-organization workflow like approval process, like ensure, suppose you are going to buy a purchase a property and you want to do the insurance for the property, and there are some approval process or there are some workflows, or who the bank is going to give you the loan and he want to check from the insurer that the property is insured or not, and they want to check from the means like from previous history that this property was properly transferred. So all this workflows and transfer, and you want to check the provenance, means from where exactly it was started. So this can be achieved in blockchain network quite it is very helpful to do in the blockchain network, because in blockchain is built on basically the four concepts. Shared data, means all the data will be shared between all the parties. So that's why each node will maintain a copy of the ledger of the data, and there will be means on trust, and there will be also for means basically for means in security, means in terms of, because all the transactions will be linked from the previous transactions, so all the data will be secured and legitimate, and you can also see the history of the data. Okay, and the provenance, and also this will be there. So that's why if we have a multiple party or auditing and cross organizational workflow as an asset transfer, so in that kind of scenario, blockchain can be a good use case. Then the question comes, is it this was the question asked, like, is blockchain suitable for my project, and how you will find out that is blockchain suitable for your use case. So I have taken this very simple means flow diagram. So if you answer questions of these diagrams correctly, means like I think then you will be able to, at the end of the means workflow, you can able to decide that you really need a blockchain for your project or not. Because sometimes we have a very simple application, and blockchain cannot be a good use case for each of the project. So let's just take an example. Suppose in the first, we see that do you want to store the state? So whatever the transactions you are performing on the blockchain network, like you are going for the approval process or you are going for rejection, whatever the states are there, and do you want to store the states? If yes, and are there multiple writers? Multiple writers means multiple parties, and they want to perform the transactions read-write operations. So if yes, so there are third parties involved in that, and they are trusted third parties. Third parties basically can be like you are going to take the loan from bank, but you have also an insurer, or you have some other third external parties which is involved in your transactions. So that can be a trusted third party or not, or all those properties are known, all those writers are known. So if all are trusted party, means like suppose your own organizations, you know everyone, then you don't need a blockchain. If you don't know, then it might be then you need a blockchain. So it will come here like all the writers are known. If no, if all the writers are not known, then it's a permission blockchain. Going forward, I will explain you what is a permission in public blockchain, and if all the writers are yes, known, yes, so these all writers are trusted or not. If it is trusted, then you don't need a blockchain, because you can just build a simple distributed app, because you know everyone and you can perform the transactions. So if all the writers are not trusted, in that scenario, if you have a public verification or public verifiability required, then you need a public blockchain. If you don't, then you need a private blockchain. So let's see what is a public blockchain and private blockchain. Public blockchain, just to give you example, like a Bitcoin and Ethereum. In that public blockchain, everyone can participate. It means like you want to participate and perform the transaction on the blockchain network, you can join the network. You need to buy a Bitcoin or whatever the coins for that blockchain network, and you can participate in the network. You can perform the transaction by paying the fee in terms of cryptocurrency. That's called gas fees. So it can be an example of like your health records, royalty points, that can be a public blockchain. So Ethereum is also a public blockchain network. Next comes is a private blockchain. Private blockchain is basically for a business unit. Basically, ownership and responsibility lies with a single company. Suppose you want to implement a blockchain network within your company for your some document verification process or asset management or governance of subsidiary. So these can be a good use case for the private blockchain network. Consortium is basically distributed different companies comes like there are 10 to 15 companies came and they formed a network, so that's called consortium. So in that scenario means like a distributed app but on blockchain network. So that can be like supply chain license or tourism hotel rents, so in that might be third parties involved also, so that can be a consortium. So in that scenario there are three types of blockchain basically. So you need to decide first, is blockchain is really need for your project, and then what type of blockchain you are going to choose. Either you are going to choose for a public blockchain or private blockchain, or you are going to join some consortium. So before starting any project, these things you need to decide. Otherwise, it will be a bit late. Yeah. These are the basics. So I will explain. Yeah, going forward, what exactly. So there are three types of most popular blockchain frameworks available as of now. Is one is Ethereum, and second is the Hyperledger Fabric, and then third is the Corda. So Ethereum is basically for public blockchain, like same as Bitcoin, and it is a very widely used framework, which is which works on a consensus mechanism, proof of work. So what is consensus mechanism? As I told earlier, in to maintain the consistency of the data, and so to sync from the global data to your local copy of the data, there is a mining process. So mining will be based on means like and whenever you perform a transaction on the network, so they will be mining, and who is going to means which transaction is going to perform first. So that will be decided by the consensus mechanism, and it ensures that you also maintain, it also maintains a similar consistent data on local copy and the global copy. So in Hyperledger Fabric, there is a different consensus mechanism, and for same as is for Corda as well. So Ethereum is a permissionless, which is public blockchain network, and Hyperledger Fabric and Corda is a permission private blockchain network. Mostly used in means financial organizations and government bodies for the to perform internal transactions. So we came to know that is really project means like blockchain is suitable for our project, and what type of blockchain and what are the frameworks available. Now the thing is you want to build a blockchain prototype. So what are the challenges you have currently in current scenario? Because before starting any project, we need to know what are the challenges we have. Suppose you want to connect to your business tools, your existing applications, and that's one of the biggest challenge actually, I think, because no organization will be agree. Like suppose you want to make an application, but that application is not able to integrate with your existing applications, or so no one will try to invest in that. So that's it. That's why it's a very big challenge for the enterprise scale. Like you want to integrate with your existing apps like SAP or CRM or SharePoint or SQL. You want to integrate those applications with blockchain application, and you want to read the data from either from web application, mobile application, or IoT applications. How you want to gather communicate with other applications, and how you want to ensure the security of the transactions, whatever you are doing, and the people who are performing the transactions on by different multiple parties, and they are legitimate parties, and how you are going to keep the audit trail of all the history of the transactions, how you are going to make the provenance of the data, means like from where it is started. So these are the quite means well-known enterprise challenges we have when we are going for any blockchain project. So let's see how it can be. These are the means like issue trade-offs we have, like API management. Or so whenever we are going to start any blockchain app, so we always think means like because the infrastructure management is a very big headache for us. Basically, whenever you are going to start any app, blockchain app, you just want to test end-to-end functionality. Means like your is blockchain will be suitable for your project and it will be working out. Means it will be able to integrate with your applications. And just to test that functionality, you need to deploy a very complex infrastructure, and you should have means these all like API management, orchestration of signing, hashing, routing, deploying the ledger, writing the business logic, couple of things you need to do, and which is a quite complex process. So how we can solve this problem basically? So what exactly Microsoft is, because it will be, I'll be discussing more on the today's Microsoft Azure blockchain. So in that, how Microsoft is trying to solve this kind of problem. What exactly, actually Microsoft is doing a really good job in this scenario. What exactly is doing, they are trying to remove those pain points, which is suppose you have web apps, you have mobile apps, you have desktop apps, or you have any client apps, and you have but you will be able to integrate with any one of the blockchain network or platform, like by using some predefined templates, which is on Ethereum, Corda, or Hyperledger. You can provision a complete blockchain network by using those templates or by using Azure Blockchain as a service, and you can integrate with your existing apps. So they are trying to provide a complete ecosystem from end to end, means like from creating blockchain prototype to go for live to production. So in demo, I will show you how exactly you can build those prototypes and then how you can migrate your applications to production. So what exactly they are trying to manage is they are trying to manage all the identity and key management, which is they have Azure Keyword Service, and they also do means the off-chain key storage. You can also, whatever the transactions you are performing on the blockchain network, you can also store the data on off-chain key storage like SQL or NoSQL database, and they also providing means monitoring services, so you can monitor your transactions or you can monitor your nodes health check, your nodes are performing well or not. And they have also API management capability, so means like you can integrate you can perform the blockchain transactions by using those APIs. So currently they are providing a few services to achieve this process. They have Azure Blockchain as a service, and there is a second is Azure Blockchain Data Manager, and Azure Blockchain Tokens and Development Kit. So what exactly they do is Azure Blockchain Service is a fully managed service. You don't need to do anything. You can just, in few simple clicks, you can deploy a complete blockchain network. And Data Manager is basically to capture all the data, means like whatever the events or transactions are performing on the blockchain network. The blockchain data manager captures all the data, and it can process into either off-chain storage, or you want to do some other activities like even perform some email notifications or any kind of activity you can perform on that. So basically, Azure Blockchain Tokens is basically a service for tokenize your assets. So it can be fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. It's a quite different topic. I'll explain in upcoming sessions. And there is also Azure Blockchain Development Kit. So Blockchain Development Kit is basically used for do the development of a blockchain app. So it's very useful because you can deploy a blockchain app.
Let's see.
Yeah. Hi.
There seems to be some noise coming from her mic. Can you see if it's plugged in correctly?
Okay, just a minute. I will. Am I audible? Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's a bit quieter now.
Okay, thanks. Sorry for inconvenience. Yeah. So let's see
Asif,
how we can.
Asif, still some disturbance, man. So you check your mic or something.
Is it okay now?
Still a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, still a bit fussy. Yeah.
Okay, let me restart.
Oh, sorry about that, folks. As if we'll just try and restart his. There's still there was some noise coming in from the mic, so it's just troubleshooting right now.
So guys, what you're interested in besides blockchain, about SQL Server, a basic of SQL Server? What other things you are interested in? We will check the Asif mic. What is interested? You can chat, put in your chat box so that we can get more details about what you're interested in, and we make a some kind of a demo and presentation based on what you're looking for.
Are you able to listen, Aro, now?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's see how we can build a blockchain prototype using Azure WorkBench. So basically, what you need to do is so for creating a blockchain prototype, what we need to do, we need to go into the Azure portal, and there is a create resources. So what we can do, we can choose blockchain, and there is the Azure Workbench and Azure Blockchain Service. So basically, Azure Workbench is used for creating a blockchain prototype, and also it's also helps to do the integration with your existing apps. So what exactly you need to do is you need to go into the resource group. You need to choose like suppose I'm choosing test 2, and you need to fill all these informations. So basically West Europe and test region. So this is the password and database blockchain password. So you should remember this password because database blockchain password will be used for your off-chain storage. So whenever we are performing any transaction on the blockchain network and we want to see that transition data on SQL or NoSQL database, so this we can, I will show that how we can see all the transactions on by using SQL Server. So next we need to choose the advanced settings. So in advanced settings we have two options, like you want to choose a new network or you want to use the existing network. So existing network, like suppose you have already some blockchain app which is deployed on Ethereum protocol. So you can just provide a Ethereum EBC endpoint here and you will be able to join that network. But suppose you are going to create a new consortium or new network, so you can just choose the option for create new, and this will be basically helpful for creating a new infrastructure network. And there are two tiers. One is for basic and standard. Basic is basically used for your development and test environment, and then we have standard also. So standard is mostly used for production ready applications. So you can choose the VM size as per your need. So I will choose for dev and test purpose like one CPU network. Okay, I have already, because this will take 20 to 30 minutes. So I have already deployed a Azure Workbench. So what you need to do is there is a couple of step process for creating a blockchain prototype. So what you need to do is like this is the step for setting up your Ethereum network, which I'm doing now until here. And after that, what we need to do, we need to deploy this workbench. So once you click on the create, it will start deploying the workbench. And the third process is registering the Azure AD tenant, which is quite tricky part for registering the AD tenant. So what I will do, I will show you this process, and then we'll see how we can deploy a blockchain app on that blockchain network, and we'll see that how we can see the transaction data on the Azure Power BI. So let me show you quickly. I have already created the resource. After doing the create, you will able to see this in the resource group. You will be able to see all these resources. And if you see here in the resources, we have a app service, which is our Azure Workbench. So I can just open here Azure Workbench, and the second one we have is API. So API is basically used for this is basically used for integration with your existing apps. Suppose you want to perform any transactions on blockchain network, so you can use this API, you can leverage this API to perform the transaction on the blockchain network. But it will be depend on your access or networks on the Active Directory part. So, and there is also for some resources like blockchain as a service, and there is also a resource for Key Vault. Key Vault is basically used for your saving all your credentials or secrets. And there is also resources for the SQL database, which is also very important. SQL Server database, whatever the transactions we are performing on this blockchain network, we can see on the SQL Server database. So let's see how we can configure the AD first, because our next step is configuring the AD registering first, and then we will deploy the application. So I have already written a blog on this. So if you are confused in any one of the steps, and later on the sessions, I will also upload the demo video, so you can follow that in configuration. So what exactly I need to do is I need to go into the Active Directory, and I have already configured the Active Directory few steps. So let me just. So first, what you need to do, you need to launch the PowerShell. When you launch the Azure Cloud Shell, so what exactly it will ask you if you have a storage. If you don't have any storage, so it will ask you to create the storage account. So if you can see here, my Azure already Cloud Shell is launched. So what I need to do is, in my blog, if you see here, I have already created this blockchain Azure Workbench, and after that we have the resources, all resources created. Okay, and then we'll navigate to the URL, so which is this URL. And after that, once we launch this Azure Cloud Shell, we need to copy this. We need to copy this URL and paste here. So let me just paste here. it will ask your Active Directory. So my Active Directory was this one. My Active Directory URL is I'll copy here. Then it will ask you to authenticate your device. So basically the device is and there will be a code for this. So I have this code. I need to copy this code. Why we need AD is registering AD account base, because I want to register this blockchain workbench to Active Directory, the app. So now it will, now you can come here and see. So this is the steps. It is once we have already, let me, if you can see here, this is creating the application, and once it is created and assign the role, so then we can go and apply for then we can assign the role and permissions for our profile. So in my blog, if you can see here, it will ask for the permissions requested, and then we can go, and after successful deployment, we will be able to refresh the browser. So you will be able to see the blockchain application you can upload from here. So let's just wait for a few minutes. I will show you. So basically, what it do is this is a blockchain workbench where exactly you can create multiple prototypes, and you can just come here and upload your ABI files, means blockchain build files, and after uploading your solution smart contracts and ABI files, you can test the smart contract end to end. So this is means you don't need to create a complete means blockchain infrastructure UI. In few clicks, you can just provision a workbench. You can upload blockchain. Like suppose I have already created one project like Hello Blockchain, and after building the blockchain project, I will have build files, which is my hello blockchain.json, which is my ABI file, and this is my smart contracts. I just need to upload these two files to perform a test. So you don't need to create any UI for this, and UI will be managed from here. So yeah, okay. So let me just refresh. So it will ask for your permissions. So I just need to accept the permission. And you can see here I have this new option. So what I need to do, it will ask you to upload your contract. So I can do is I can just go in my sessions. I have a couple of already samples created, samples available. These all samples are already available in Azure samples, Azure WorkBench samples. So you can just go and copy from there to test. Let me just test for bazaar listing. So you just need to upload your JSON file, then it will ask your smart contract, and you can upload your smart contracts. It will take a few seconds to deploy. So you can see here my contract is already deployed. So I have bazaar, and there are some workflows for item listing and for bazaar. And if you in the right hand side, you can see here also there are members. So these members will be basically, because I am the admin for this, so that's why only one member is showing here. But suppose if I want to use more members, so what I need to do, I need to first register my complete AD account. So what I exactly am going to do is I'm going to complete my registration process for AD. So what I need to do is I need to go into the Active Directory, and there is a registration. So I need to register this app. So this is my AD, and this is the app registration. So in app registration, I have already registered one app. So what you need to do, you need to click on the new registration, and then you can click on blockchain API 2. Okay, and you need to provide a URL. So let me give you just blockchain. So you can register this app. After registration, means you need to provide, means you need to change the mainfest file. Basically, this is the app roles. So you need to replace this app role. And there are two more settings, like you have to allow implicit flow. So you need to make it true. So these settings I have already mentioned here. So you can just copy paste from here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this. After moving this all changes, so what we need to do, we need to save this app roles mainfest file, and then we can register our app. So after registering this app, what we exactly we need to do is then we will be able to add the blockchain AD members in my group. For me currently, I have deployed one app. Let me show you, because I think I have not much time, so I will show you quickly. So this is, let me just open demo. So this is the blockchain app I have already deployed here. So if you can see here, there was a asset transfer app, and I have after saving this mainfest file, and you just need to save, and then you will be able to add the members here. So what you need to do is you can, like, suppose I am going for bazaar listing app, same. So just go for bazaar listing, and So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the members. So let's take demo 2, demo 1, and we can assign the role like bazaar maintainer or means whatever the roles. So these are the roles which will be defined from your blockchain network itself. Means whenever you are deploying the contract, so you will be able to means define the roles in that based on your contract settings. Party. So after registering this app, we can perform the transfer. Suppose I'm going to perform the transaction on the asset transfer. So what I'm going to do is I want to sell the bike, and the bike cost is suppose $1,000. So if you can see $10,000, so you can see that the contract is being created. So this blockchain workbench is very helpful in terms of testing your contract, in terms of verifying your functionality, that how your contract is going to be created, how your contract is going to executed, and who is going to approve the transactions. So in my demo, basically I have if you can see asset transfer, I am the seller, and there is a demo 1 which will be a buyer. I have assigned already the role. So if you can see here, I have demo 1 which is a buyer role, and demo 2 is appraiser, and demo 3 is inspector, and I'm the owner. So what exactly I will do, I will log in as a demo 1, and then I will perform some other transactions on that. So let me just log out. So you can see here, I'm logging as a demo 1. Now I am the buyer. So buyer, what exactly we can do is we have seen that there was $1,000 bike is created. So I need to perform some action. So what I can do, I can make an offer for this. So I will take I can choose the inspector who is going to verify this transaction. And then I'm going to make offer price of suppose 800, and the transaction will be created on the blockchain network. And now whatever the transactions we are performing on this blockchain network, I want to see those transactions on some off-chain database like SQL database. So what exactly we can do is, because we have already seen that there was a resources created for the SQL Server database. So you need to come into the resources. So if you can see here, there is a SQL database. So what I can do, I can just go, this is the SQL Server name, and make sure. So what I can do, I have a query editor here. So I can just log in. And there are all the tables. So I can see all the users registered, how many users are there. So if you can see here, I have demo 1, demo 2, demo 3 users for asset transfer app, and we can also see how many transactions are there in that. So these are the transactions performed with the transaction hash and from and to, and all the details of the transactions. And now I want to see this data in Power BI report. So before going to the Power BI report, what exactly you need to verify is you need to make sure that you have enabled the firewall settings. So this is a very important step. So what you need to do is you need to come into the firewalls and virtual network, and just click on the add client IP, and make sure this Azure services and resources are allowed. Why? Because if it is not allowed, you will not be able to interact with your any Azure services like Logic Apps or Power BI and others. So make sure this is enabled. So I have already enabled it. So what I can do is I just need to provide database server name and open my Power BI desktop. So what I can do is just suppose I am going to create. So I'll just create a get data. So I can provide a SQL Server database, and then I need to choose SQL Server name. And I have already created a connection, so that's why it is opening. You need to just provide the password at the time of creation of Azure Workbench. So you will be, suppose you want to add a contract action, or you want to add users. So whatever the tables you want to load, so you can load, and based on that you can plot the Power BI reports in your chart. So, okay. There was one question I may have missed, but where this blockchain multiple nodes come into this, or this is a demo assuming this is actually the demo assuming a single node as a data source, because when you provision the network on blockchain network, means blockchain Azure Workbench, so it will have a single node which is by default. So if you can see Azure blockchain as a service, so this is a single node which will be created, a quorum node, and it will be like on basic tier. So currently, but if you want to scale up, so you have an option to add the transaction node multiple, and you can add how many transaction node you want. So it's up to you how you want to scale up your network. But at the initial stage for creating the workbench, it will provision a single node. But if you want to join, suppose any other consortium, like any other Ethereum network, so while creating the Azure Workbench, I have already mentioned there was a option to choose Ethereum endpoints, existing network. So you need to choose, let me show you on Azure Workbench. So in advanced settings, basically you will get means option for existing. So you need to, suppose if you have already existing Ethereum blockchain app hosted somewhere, so you can join that consortium also by providing the Ethereum RPC endpoint. By default, it will only host a single node. So if you see here, what I did is initially I created the blockchain Azure Workbench, then I deployed on that, and the third process was registering Azure AD tenant. So which is the most critical part in configuring the Azure Workbench. So you need to make sure that you are properly allowing all your permissions, and so then only you will be able to add your users on the blockchain network. And after that, you need to deploy blockchain app. Make sure you have enabled the firewall settings, then only other blockchain app will be able to interact. Like I want to open the SQL Server database. So if firewall settings are not allowed, so you will not be able to open. And you want to integrate with your existing logic app. So there are some logic app connectors. Let me show you Ethereum connectors. Southeast Asia. So in Logic App, basically by default, there are some connectors available for the Ethereum. So if you want to communicate by using Logic App to your blockchain network, so you can also perform the transaction by using those connectors. So let me just show you a simple. So if you can see here, the Ethereum blockchain connector is there. So in this, there are a couple of options. So in how exactly it works is you have a 4 options here. When you like by using data publishing, by using smart contracts, that is by microservices, or by event publishing or report publishing. So there are a couple of options you can communicate with this connector to store the data on your blockchain network, or perform any kind of transactions you want to, trigger any email notifications. So these connectors are very helpful when you are going to perform any kind of workflow on blockchain network. Yeah, so that was basically is there. So we have I think I'm almost done with my demo part. Okay, so we have let's come back to the slide deck again. So blockchain prototype we can build by using Azure WorkBench. So it's a predefined tool available provided by Microsoft. So you don't need to configure the whole infrastructure or the UI. It is, you can see here, the UI is already, so you can just test your smart contract. And then what are the challenges currently we have in creating the POCs? Like because this was the initial challenge for us also, like because when we want to just test the, means like this blockchain work app will be working for us, and we don't want to create the whole infrastructure, the team we want to set up. So just for creating the POCs, this is very good tool. And what exactly it do is it helps to integrate with your existing applications, and with your all blockchain frameworks like Hyperledger, Ethereum, Coda, or so by using APIs or by using connectors. Like for Hyperledger, there is no connector available, so you can communicate by consuming the APIs. Same as this for Quorum and others. And if you can see, whenever you provision any blockchain workbench, so these are the resources will be created. Like there will be API management, service bus, off-chain DB, like SQL server, and blockchain data manager, logic apps. So these all resources you can see here in my, whenever I created a blockchain Azure workbench. So these are the resources which is created by default. This is kind of, you can say, for single ledger kind of limitation as well, miss, because these sometimes you don't need all these resources. So but for just creating a prototype, obviously this is needed, and you can integrate with your existing app. Yeah, this is a step-by-step process how we can set up the workbench. Yeah, if anyone have any questions, you can ping on IM.
Yeah, thank you very much, Asif. Guys, if you have any more questions, you can put it on the chat. Or later on, we're gonna share. We're going to share the video and the resources from the presentation, so you'll know how to reach out to Asif if you have any other questions.
Sorry for trouble in the middle. Anyhow, I will post all this demo in later on my YouTube channel, and also on this is will be available on my blog. So I have already written my blog for configuring the Azure Workbench. So if you are interested to create a blockchain prototype and you want to see all the blockchain data by SQL Server, and so you can follow the blog, and there will be also video available for this. And if you want to see that data, like how after performing the blockchain data, means how you can let me just to show you. It's available in my blog as well. Yeah. So there was in my last sessions, what I have shown here is you can publish the logic apps, which I showed. Like there is a connector for performing the transition on a blockchain application. So you can publish the logic apps of flow data to the SQL data by using Azure Blockchain as a Service. So this is the video available for the demo. Same as is, I will upload the demo for Azure WorkBench as well. And yeah, so.
All right. Thank you, Asif.
Thanks, Pio. Sorry for the trouble. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It's live. That's what that shows the viewers that it's really live. Yeah. So usually we take a 5-minute break, but since we're already at eight right now, so I won't hold you guys further. So we're gonna start with the next session. Let me just check if our next speaker is already online. He's already in the meeting earlier. So let me just ping him. Argelo, are you there?
Yes. Hello? Did you
Hello?
hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, just a minute.
You're coming in a bit soft, but yeah, we can hear you. You already have control, right? Yeah, so our next session is about Ssrs 2019 and Power BI. Our speaker is Argelo Royce Bautista, Microsoft MVP for Data Platform from Philippines. He's also a Microsoft certified trainer. So I'll let him continue with the session. So yeah, it's all yours, Argelo.
Thank you very much, Pio, and thank you everyone for letting me participate in in Singapore SQL in Sqlpass, such a prestigious group. Anyway, so our topic for tonight is Ssrs 2019 Power BI Better Together. So once again, I'm Argelo Bautista, a computer engineering graduate, and I've been in the BI landscape for the past 6 years, mainly dealing with Power BI and Microsoft Excel. And I do have 2 years of experience in web development, but most of the stuff that I do there is Angular and jQuery. And there are times that I do SSRS report. So that 2 years was that's way back 5 or 8 years. It's quite old, and if you're going to look at the SSRS technology itself, it's actually 15 years old already. So why the sudden interest in SSRS 2019? So if you want to know more about that, we have a group dedicated for SQL Server admins and other data platform enthusiasts, the Philippine SQL Server User Group or the Philippine Data Platform User Group. So if you want to join and interact with us, please feel free to do so. So our agenda for today is what's new in Power BI, what are paginated reports, difference between Power BI reports and paginated reports, the case for SQL Server reporting services on an Azure virtual machine, and deploying paginated reports connecting to on-premise cloud. Wait just a minute. Let me double check. I think there's okay. Yes, so I'll just give you an updated agenda. Basically, we are going to utilize the Ssrs 2019 on Azure VM. So there's an updated slides here that tells about the demo that we're going to do. So why the sudden interest in Ssrs 2019? So lately in the Microsoft Business Application Summit, they released the Power BI Report Builder along with the Power BI Premium Capacity XMLA endpoint. So that XMLA endpoint allows you to access Power BI as a SQL Server analysis service. and that SQL Server Analysis Service can be used in the Power BI Report Builder as a data source. So that's SSRS getting data, that's Power BI data to SSRS data. Now, the other features of SSRS 2019 is the ability to pin report items. So that is SSRS going to Power BI. And we also have the SSRS URL reports, URL parameters, in which you can use to implement a drill through from a Power BI report going back to your SSRS report. And what's more? Yes, they also have upgraded the Microsoft Report Builder, in which you can connect to the which allows you to create DAX queries to get your data from the analysis services, not just MDX queries. Okay, so what exactly is paginated reports? Well, I've already been talking about SSRS reports. So yeah, it's basically SSRS reports rebranded. So optimized for printing and PDF generation. They provide the ability to produce pixel perfect layouts, and they are based on SSRS reporting services. They are actually the report definition language. And if you created a report definition language on Microsoft Power BI reporting or Power BI paginated report builder, you can actually open it in the old report builder. However, the difference between the two builders is that the Power BI report builder has the capability to add Power BI premium dataset directly. On the other hand, the Microsoft Report Builder has to use the SQL Server Analysis Services as a data source. So these reports are called the Pixel Perfect Report. Oh, another difference between the Microsoft, the Report Builder and the Power BI Report Builder is that the Report Builder cannot directly publish to a Power BI workspace. So the Power BI Report Builder can do that, directly publish to Power BI workspace. Another difference is that the Microsoft Report Builder cannot directly publish to SSRS server. There's no option to do that, but the Microsoft Report Builder has the option to do that, publishing to the SSRS service. So moving forward, contrasting the paginated reports, the Power BI reports are built for analytic reasons. No? So you need to constantly interrogate the data and the graphs that is on the report. So if you have a paginated reports that has a lot of graphs and deals with large amounts of data, I would suggest that you might want to consider using a Power BI report instead. Supported data sources. So these are the same data. These are the same data sources in the Microsoft Report Builder. The only difference is that the Power BI Report Builder can directly connect to your workspace and select the Power BI dataset from there. So the consumption of paginated reports is also the same. However, if you are going to look at the Power BI mobile app, you can sign in to your my phone. You can sign in to your reporting services, but if you try to use or if you try to look for the RDL report, you won't see anything. You won't see anything. You will only see the mobile reports that is created using the DataZen mobile report builder. But in the case of the RDL reports that is deployed to the Power BI service, you can see the reports. Just a minute. Oops. Wait. You can see the paginated reports. So let me demo that real quick. because I don't have that in our in our items. So as you can see, this is the Power BI. This is the Power BI app, Android app, and there are two. There are two servers that we can connect to. So the first one is the web service, the Power BI web service, and it allows us to navigate and see the paginated report. So this is the Power BI report, the analytic one, and this is the paginated report, so the operational one. So let us look at that. So this is the one that is deployed on the Power BI server. So if you click View Report, you will have a full, what do you call that? The full control. Well, there is no, sadly, there is no export. So you might have to do something else. But if you're going to look at the SQL Server reporting services, you won't see anything because I haven't deployed any mobile reports. So if you're going to look at it from the web portal, you will see that there are paginated reports here, and one of them is the sales order details. So okay, let me restart the virtual machine real quick. This is what do you call that? Anyway, so while we are waiting for that, I think it would be best to continue on with the presentation. So the next is the requirement for the paginated reports. So the Power BI paginated reports is only available to Power BI Premium, the PSKUs, and the Power BI Embedded, which is A4 to A6. And you need to enable the paginated reports workload. So to enable that, it requires the admin capability. So you're going to set the maximum memory that is based from the allocated capacity that you're paying for. So moving forward. What are these? How much are these PSKU and the ASKU? So here you will see that the ASKU, the minimum amount that you need to pay per month to use the paginated report capability is almost $6,000. And on the other side, you will see that this is the Power BI Premium subscription, and the minimum Power BI Premium would either be 5,000 per instance per month, which is on a yearly basis, and 6,000 per instance per month, which is on a monthly basis. So it's almost the same, $6,000. And if let's say that we are going to allocate 20% of your premium capacity to the paginated reports workload, you are actually paying somewhere around $1,200 for that feature, or for the flexibility of the feature of the resources to be used in Power BI reports and paginated reports. So do you really want to pay $1,200 for that for that feature? So you might want to rethink that, because I am proposing that you might want to consider using Azure VMs. So an Azure VM, or particularly this Azure VM, the SQL Server 2019 on Windows Server 2019 is the 8-core equivalent, or the maximum memory, which is 32 gigabytes of RAM, is only $680. Of course, what I'm proposing is that instead of using a software as a service, you might want to level down to infrastructure as a service. Of course, moving down to that level, it automatically tells us that we need to have we will have extra administrative task. No? So in order for us to use SSRS on an Azure VM, you would need to install it on this virtual machine. So let me check my slides first. Okay, so we are now going to demo. Thank you very much. Let me end this slideshow first. So our first demo is oh wait, before we proceed to connecting to the dataset, let us first look at our the Azure virtual machine. So okay, successfully restarted. So this is our Azure virtual machine, which is using SQL Server 2019 data center, and I think the size of this is, yeah, I'm using this one, no? The 8 CPUs and the 32 gigabyte of RAM, which is around $633 per month. And to access your SSRS portal, so I've already installed the SSRS here. Let me show you the just a minute. Let me connect to the RDP. So it's a bit of manual configuration. Ano? So you install that configuration manager. Okay, so you need to configure your web service, and then you need to configure the database that is going to be used by your SSRS as the report catalog. So this one, so it's required that you have a database engine instance, and one of the new features of SSRS 2019 is that it can use SQL managed instance as the instance that you are going to where it will host the database engine. However, the Azure managed instance for the Azure SQL managed instance does not include hosting the report server itself, or the report port, or the report portal. So the web portal URL is here. Let us use the canary. And another one is this, the email setting. So if you want to use the SSRS subscription, you have to configure this. In comparison with the Power BI reports, it's already configured. You just need to set up your subscriptions. Now, one of the things that you need to do for you to be able to pin a report item is to connect to your Power BI tenant. So in this case, you need to register. You just need to log in using an account to your Power BI tenant, and then you will now have this button. So let us look quickly at this one. It will work. So you will now see this button, the Power BI icon, and once you click that, you are going to you can now pin the report item to your dashboard. So in this case, I think, yeah. So you notice the change in your web UI. You need to click this one, and then you're now going to choose which workspace you want to pin, which workspace has the dashboard, and what dashboard you're going to pin it to. Sadly, I wasn't able to configure the SQL Server agent in the Azure virtual machine. So if I try to pin this, it will respond into an error. So let us move on from that from that demonstration. So let's go to the data source. So we want to use the Power BI. We want to use the this one. We want to use the XMLA endpoint of our workspace as a SQL Server, as a SQL Server Analysis Service data source. No? So you might want to utilize the shared data set that SSRS service is offering you. So just click new and then click data source. So, shared data source, I'm sorry. So name the data source. So SSRS 2019 DBI demo and data source for Power BI premium tenant. And you're now going to choose the connection. You're going to use this, the analysis service, and then the connection string. So so the connection string is I don't memorize the connection string. Just a minute. I'm trying to open my report builder. So similarly in our report builder, you can also add the data source, your Power BI data source. So let us use an embedded connection in our. Let us create a embedded connection in our report. So this is so we're going to build the connection string, which is the server name of your analysis service can be found here in your workspace. So after going to your workspace, you go to settings and you will see this premium tab. The premium tab has the workspace connection, which can be used as the analysis service server name. Now, if you attempt to open the dropdown, it will prompt you for your username and password. So just use the Microsoft account that has the access to the Power BI tenant, and it should show the Power BI data sets that is on the premium workspace. So in this case, I'm going to use this one, the sales analysis grid. And if you try to test connection, you will not going to it will not succeed since you haven't configured the credentials over here. No? So just use the same username and password. And then after that, when you try to use a test connection, it should succeed. Okay. So you now have your connection string. So this connection string that was built using the report builder can also be used in our web portal. So and you need to use this the database username and password. So that is oops, sorry, wrong email. Our MVPs. So as you can see, it connected successfully. And since we are using our email and password as a database username and password, you can also use SSMS to connect to the analysis service. Okay, so let us create that, and you will see that it is now a shared database. It is now shared data source. So nope, I'm not going to remember that, and then I'm going to get out from my virtual machine. So of course, if you use an embedded data source, when you publish it to the report server, it will ask for a username and password. So instead of repeatedly putting the username and password there, I would suggest that we just a minute. I suggest that we use the shared data source, but it's not showing right now. Just a minute. let me try opening this report builder again. Data source, add data source, and why is it not showing? Oh, sorry, I have to go to the importance. Okay, so there you have it, the Ssrs 2019 TBI demo as a shared data source. And let's say that this is a sales analysis. So now that this is connecting, it is now that we have a shared data source, Report Builder already knows that this is an analysis service. So when you try to add the dataset DS main, you can use a dataset embedded in my report. So we want to use the analysis service data source, and connect to it using our credentials. So this is not to talk about how to securely do this, no? But if you're interested on that topic, you might want to find a way to use Azure Active Directory and Azure Key Vault when configuring your connections. Oh. What edition of SSRS supports Power BI reports? Okay, let me rephrase that question. What edition of SSRS supports Power BI Premium Dataset Connection? So the version that we need is SSRS 2019. Okay. So here we have connected, and as you can see, you now have two choices here: the traditional MDX and the DAX. So we want to use the DAX, and let's say that we want to recreate this report. Where is it? Wait. Okay. Let's say that we want to recreate this report here in the sales analysis. That's what we call the sales order. No? So we want to see a So you see, when you try to export this to PDF, what Power BI will do is render the report, take a picture, and then put it on the PDF page. So what we want is to have this all of the data rows in this table. So that's what we want. And what are the data elements that we want? We need the sales order as a parameter, the line, the product, the quantity, and the sales. So let us go here, and obviously we want to get the sales order line. Okay, it's loading. Okay, so just drag and drop it here, line number, and the sales order. The sales order in our dimension, which is the filter. And then the next thing that we need would be the product. So when you drag and drop these here, the report builder automatically detects the relationship between your fact table and your dimension table. So moving forward, we also want the quantity and the sales. So the quantity is actually a measure, so you need to look at this one, a quantity and the sales. So similarly, in your Power Pivot, the quantity in sales is evaluated on the row context. So let's try to execute the query first. Oh, we should have done that because we don't have any filters. So it will take us a while. So going back to the question, what edition of SSRS supports Power BI reports? SSRS do not support Power BI reports, sadly. You would need the Power BI report server so that you can upload the Power BI report and use it on a similar context. So okay, next is we need a sales order as a filter. So let's say that we want to filter it by what's that in the 51721. So it should be somewhere down here. Never mind. So let's just have a quick filter here and use it as a parameter. Okay. So execute the query again, and just to check, are we having everything that we need? Line, product, quantity, sales. Okay, we just need 4 columns. Okay, so now we have a smaller set of data. It's okay, and report builder will now generate that query. Okay, and still generating the query. Still generating the query. Sorry, I forgot to turn my camera on. Let me. Okay, so you now have the query generated. So it looks like a bit complex, but what it's saying is that it is testing for a bunch of things. Let us click OK here first. This is why they let us first finish it load. Let us first let it finish loading. So there you have it. So if we try to run this report, oh wait, I still need to add a table, quick table for this one. So the line number, the product, the quantity, and another column, the sales. And then we want to have here this order, and then we want to add a placeholder for our parameter, which is the sales order. Okay. So let's run this report and see what happens. Okay, so you have a default, the default parameter, which is the first sales order, and then you also have a choice of doing you have a drop down, so you can choose multiple reports, multiple sales orders, but this is not what I want. Not what I want. So let us go back to the parameter and then do a bit of changing. So I don't want to allow multiple values, and I don't want to allow blank values. So I just need a default value, which is this one. And available values. Do I need to get available values from a query? No, I just want to manually enter the values. So okay, and if you're going to look at that, I think it would be it should be a bit easy. Okay, it's not okay. Let me reconfigure this data set properties. So I think I forgot a bit of settings in the parameter when I configured it. So let's go back to the query designer. And let it load. Anyway, if I totally forgotten this before 8:40, we're just going to open the demonstration that I've already prepared earlier. Give me about 3 minutes to troubleshoot this. So you might be wondering why it's very slow. It's only slow on the query designer, on the Microsoft Report Builder query designer. So I would suggest that instead of using the query designer, you might want to use the DAX Studio. Where is it? Okay, so this is not going to we're not going to just okay. Let me open the ready-made demo that I already prepared beforehand. Seems that this thing is not very cooperative. My mind is not yet. It's not very cooperative right now. Okay, so I want to open from SQL servers, the Ssrs side, and the order details demo. So I'm going to give up on this one, and let's use the other one instead. Let's use the other one instead. So here, so in your DS main, you will see that the query is a bit simplified, and it is actually using this RX custom DAX filter in which you are inputting the sales order. Now let's go back here to the parameter, and I don't want to have default value on my parameter, so and I don't want to allow blank value. It will cause an error in my report. No? So it is required. So now we have this one, and it is showing the expected output that we want. So let it spin a few more, and there you have it. So the key is using this one, the RX custom DAX filter, and usually the report builder generates it for you, but it seems that the Microsoft report builder is not generating the query that I'm expecting. Instead, it is generating a different query, which is maybe implemented already inside in this custom, what is this, custom function. Okay, so that's for the parameters. You know? So if we want to have a cascading parameter, what we need to do is to change this parameter from text to modify this parameter to include the specific values, and you would want to get a value from a query. Now in this case, the query should be a separate data set from your main data set. So I'm not going to attempt to do that on the fly. We're just going to look at this one. So in this case, we have the parameter of sales order, and it is getting the available values from the sales order dataset. So this is the sales order dataset, and if you're going to check the sales order dataset, the sales order dataset is being filtered by another parameter, which is what we call the salesperson. And this salesperson is getting its value from directly from the data source itself. So if we're going to look at that cascading parameter, let me run this report. Okay, wait, I think I'm not open. Let me reopen this one. Cascading parameters. 2019 RDL. Okay. Let me open this one, and you will see that the sales order number dropdown is now dependent on the salesperson that you're selecting. So this is 43849, and then let us look at JPAC. You see a different set of sales order values. So if you want to see that on the web portal, as you can see, there's hiccup between changing this one to that one. So let's view it in the web portal. This one. This is the sales order cascading parameters, and it's relatively faster because it's in the Microsoft data centers. You can view that report. So so far we have demonstrated the first three, and I've already shown you where to register SSRs with the Power BI Cloud and how to do the pinning on the report item. So we want to explore now on the report URL parameter. So what is this report URL parameter? So you have two ways of interacting with report services. So the user-friendly way is through the web portal, which is your server/reports. If you want to interact with the web service, you have to use report server, and it will show you a less beautiful way. But if you navigate to, let's say, this one, okay. Okay, that's sad. Wait, something is not right here. Okay. Check again. Earlier this is working, now it's not. Okay, let me restart the VM again. It's acting up. Maybe I executed too much queries. I don't know. Anyway, so the point is that the point is that you can actually access your reports through a URL. No? So you can create this URL. This is the report, report server, and then /report servers, and then the page through report viewer. So you will have this the file path to your RDL report, and then you can issue URL parameters such as this one. You are telling them to render in HTML5 using the these two parameter. No? So this is a sales territory group Europe, and then employee key. So to have a better understanding of this, let's try it in our web portal. I hope this thing works now. Where is it? Sales order details. No. What is that? It's a salesperson directory. Okay, so let's go back, salesperson directory, and we want to navigate to that salesperson directory. Where is that? Where's that URL? Salesperson directory. Okay. And in this case, it's PacJ. So you view the report, and similarly, without the branding, you can interact with your report. So as you can see, this the URL parameters are documented in the Microsoft Docs. Just going to include the link in our presentation references. So the point is that you can create your own URLs, and then you can paste it, or you can access the URLs through your web browser. And similarly, if you can do that via web browser, you can also do that via buttons in your web apps. So let me open this Power BI report before everything is before the time runs out. So you just have to take note of how to create the URL. So you have the command render, and then you can also change it to a format equals PDF, meaning that instead of rendering an HTML5 content, you would rather have it on the format, on the format of PDF. You would rather download a PDF. So let's try this one, which is let's modify this. Instead of doing a command, we want to format, format and then PDF. Going to download the PDF report. Okay, so as you can see, it downloaded the sales order details.pdf, and if you view that PDF, you will see that you will actually get the 51721 sales order. And now, to fully close the loop, since we're already getting data from Power BI, we're now rendering we're now rendering the Power BI data in our paginated report, and we can get all the details that we want. Let's now include that link in our Power BI report. So the key here is to create conditional formatting and the URL. So if you're going to look at the Power Query behind this Power BI, you will see that in one of the tables, I have constructed the URL per row. Although this might not be a good practice since you are creating because of the high cardinality of the string, the size of the model might be bloated. So you might want to implement a DAX measure instead. Anyway, the point is that you have to, one way or another, allow Power BI to generate the URL that you need to do. So in this case, it's the report server, a report web service via report viewer, and then the URL parameter, and then your dynamic content, which is the sales order number. Okay. So once that this is created, you are now going to go to your table and configure the conditional formatting. So where is that located? So it is here in the format, and here conditional formatting. So make sure that you selected the correct the correct column that you want to have your URL, you want underlined, and then you turn on the web URL controls here at the very bottom. Now you go to advanced controls, and then it will now ask you based on what field are we going to use the based on what field are we going to use this as a URL. No? So in this case, it's a bit simplified since I already created on the Power Query. I just click the column that I created. Okay? So after clicking OK, it will now have your underline. And as a test, if you try to click it, it will open the URL, and it should download the PDF since we specifically entered format PDF. So there you have it. It downloaded the PDF. And what did I click again? I think it's somewhere here, 7.1. Oh, it's 499, 46993. So there you have it. Okay. So once that you publish this to Power BI, you can see. No, not this one. Got it. Sales analysis period. You will see that it is also clickable, and that it will also download the PDF. Now, if we are going back to our phone, okay, let us connect to that. Let me connect to the phone. Okay, so it downloaded the PDF here. I think we clicked the very first one. Is it the very first one? No. It is the 49,890 or 980. Well, it's not showing, so let me click it again. I forgot what I clicked. Okay. Anyway, so going back to our wait, it's already here. Okay, there you have it. So 59,465, 59,465. So you have successfully implemented some kind of a drill through feature with your Power BI. And the best of that is you can oh no, the wrong window. The best of that is you can also use it when you are accessing your mobile phone. So this is the Power BI report, and okay, it's loading the data, salesperson and sales order. You will see that this is Stephen Zhang. So let me change it a bit. GPAC. I want to use GPAC, and that is 51160. I tap on the 51160. And okay, it's asking for a username and password. Let's see if I could sign in. Okay, I think it's downloading. It's loading. Still not loading. Okay, what happened? Wait, let me do it again. It's not. Okay, there you go. So it's asking me to download it again because I already tested it earlier. And if you're going to open, you can see you have the 51160 sales order, which is our demo for today. Okay. So is that all in our demo list? Yes. So that's using Ssrs URL parameter to implement the drill through from PBI report to Ssrs report. So so far, do you guys have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? You can use the chat if you have any
Don't
questions.
want to speak out loud.
Yeah, I don't think. Looks like no one has any question.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed our talk, and yeah, thank you for staying up until the end of this talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ajay.
Yeah, so thank you, Argelo. Very nice presentation about SSRS. Yeah, so guys, if you have time, kindly please evaluate the session, the SSRS 2019 and Power BI session. And with that, I think that's all for tonight. See you guys next Tuesday. We're gonna have Power BI integration and AutoML. Good night, everyone.